Only one type of motorcycle is increasingly killing riders, and it ain't little sport bikes, it ain't 1200 adventures, it's machines over 1400 cc's, exclusively and overwhelmingly, that are climbing the death chart. And these are your BMW K1600s, your Honda Goldwings, your Harley everythings, and the highway mile munchers are statistically dangerous. So, let's embark on a long haul without any breaks to learn how to fight fatigue. The SHRP2NDS is a shitty name for a very unshitty study. They collected 3,593 participants, fitted their vehicles with enough cameras to embarrass an exhibitionist, then just waited for people to crash. It took over 3 years, but eventually we had 905 accidents. Turns out people drooped their eyes and showed distinct signs of fatigue immediately before 10.8% of severe crashes. Now that's an order of magnitude worse than previous estimates. The number one protection from fatigue is to start early. Say you're planning a 10-hour ride. During the habitual 9 to 5, your brain will have an easy time staying alert. But here and here are the danger zones. Cognitive rhythms conditioned by your usual schedule. The brain wants to shut down during the hours when it's normally sleeping or watching Pawn Stars. So finish late and you'll hit your period of poor alertness when you're 8 hours deep and the light is fading. Start early. It'll still be a stretch to focus at 7 a.m., but at least that's your first, freshest task of the day. Now, the longer we spend on autopilot, the slower our reaction times become. Of all people, the Swedish Airport Authority tackled this problem. They were fed up with their ground crews getting monotonized in their jobs and crashing into 747. So the solution they found was better earplugs. It turns out a drop of 20 decibels is enough to significantly speed our perception and reaction. Who knew? Most 10-cent foamies have a noise reduction rating that sits like an O for around 20 decibels. That alone will make you a safer tourer, but we can do one better. I wear pass-through plugs like pin locks. They're tuned to allow more low frequencies so you can hear the voices of your riding buddies unmuffled. My usual wingmen being Barry White and Leonard Cohen, but the piercing frequencies, high RPMs, rapid turbulence, K-pop, that's more damaging. And blissfully blocked. Now, stiffness is a third problem for avoiding a crash. And you ever stood up from a lazy boy to find your legs so numb you can hardly walk? Well, the same thing can happen 3 hours into a highway haul. And you suddenly need a finessed evasive maneuver, your muscles are all frozen. Now, one trick for staying nimble, and it's kind of weird, but you can do 3 stretches while riding.
Just like fate without no warning.
For legs, just stand up, shake them out. For the hips, fold down a pillion peg, hook your foot behind it, and work that knee outwards. Ooh, feel that in the flexor. And then for the back and shoulders, alternate between sitting up on the pillion seat, all concave, and riding forward against the tank, all convex. And yogis will recognize this as a half-assed cat-cow position. But it's still rather effective for loosening up. Obviously, save your stretches for an empty stretch of highway. And don't do them at all unless you're comfortable in an empty parking lot first, with all your junk on the bike. Now, too many riders fail to experience their motorcycles loaded up until the morning of their trip. Now, why not pack it and commute with it a week before? Get used to the bulk, test tire pressure and suspension settings, and ditch half your stuff once you realize just how heavy it is. On to number 4, still no brakes, so we're starting to get dizzy. And wooziness is common on long hauls, mainly due to dehydration. And think about it, you're wearing full gear in hot weather with artificially high wind. This is an extremely drying environment. See, we know people who go into hot places that generate their own wind wearing full gear. Firefighters. And they practice pre-hydration. Drink 3 milliliters of water per pound of body weight 4 hours before you ride. And research shows that ad libitum drinking, i.e. drinking when you get thirsty, is often insufficient in environments like ours. It's simply too hard to add water any faster than we lose it. Drip, drop, drip, drop. You are getting very sleepy. Highway hypnosis is our final danger to alleviate. Listening to something is a proven way to keep your mind present, but the keyword is something, not anything. See, multitasking is mostly a myth. You can read the script for this video. You can read it while listening to instrumentals, but try rap?
With a Tycon flow snap, vivid like the Nikon. Been cold with the vibe warm. Keep it locked
Right?
like the vice arm. They gotta twist it like the coat arm.
In our little experiment, the problem arises when two things engage the same brain function. Rap and reading both fight over the language center, so we can't multitask them. We have to focus on one, then the other, then back again. It's serial tasking. And the University of Sussex found the same phenomenon with driving. Because it's a spatial activity, we can multitask it with, say, listening to music, but anything that competes for spatial attention, like an audio book that calls us to imagine other places, well, that triggers serial tasking. We focus on the road, then the imagined place, then back, and in those changeovers, crashes happen. So, when choosing a playlist, choose something that isn't terribly spatial. And if you need to choose a Bluetooth device first, Cardo's Freecom 4 Plus won this year's test video, not least of all for its audio fidelity. Whew. That was a long haul. I feel a bit foggy going so long without a break. Thanks for watching, and remember, a blast of cold air is the quickest way to snap out of it.
Like, who is this?
To dehydration.
Sorry, I missed it.
No problem.